Hello everyone. So from our last video, we developed the insights about the course of the financial engineering and the motivation behind it. In this course, we will have 4 parts, and in this video, we will discuss about the course contents and their significance. The name of the course is Financial Engineering, as I told you earlier, and as the name suggests, it deals with two things. One is financial and the second is engineering. And that of course financial will cover market to a very specific extent. I would talking about the stock market and some aspects of the money market too. We will be primarily talking about the financial strategies, models and share market. We will cover some banking part also, and we will see the aspects which differs money market from the share market. The second component is the engineering in the term. Now finance is all about banks, about investments, the finance, the assets, where you can invest your money, and engineering is how would you deal if you want to change something over there. How do you deal with the sentiments of the market? How will you quantify the risk in terms of the mathematical expressions? So financial engineering course is all about the sentiments of your investment and how they will change or vary. What kind of mathematical details from an engineering background you can use, like your programming skill set, so as you can construct the model or modify or manipulate the model according to your need and requirements. And that is what the course is all about. So beginning with the course contents, the course has 4 parts as I told you earlier. In part 1, we will be covering risk-free assets. Risk-free assets or the assets which are risk-free. There is no loss associated with that. There is no risk associated with that. That is the sigma, which I told you in the earlier video, is 0. The precise term which I would say for the risk-free asset, it should be negligible risk. There might be some risk associated with the risk-free assets, but that risk will be negligible. So the correct term for the risk-free asset should be negligible risk instead of no risk. Now the risk-free assets are the measures of the time value of money. So for example, you have 100 rupees today. Now these 100 rupees of today will not remain 100 rupees tomorrow and will not remain 100 rupees next year. So that is what we will try to discuss in the first part. So risk-free asset from the technical point of view, it is the deterministic variable. Deterministic variables are those deterministic variables. Deterministic variables are those the variables at we can make a short prediction at t equals to 0. There is no uncertainty involved in that. For example, the saving bank's account return. For example, the fixed deposit returns. These all are the deterministic investment strategies in which the customer knows that after this particular time period and investing this particular amount for the given time period, the rate of interest which the person is getting is predetermined and well known, a well specified quantity. In mathematical variables, one are those in which we are sure about, and these are the deterministic variables, and the second one in which we can determine through predictions. For example, you have to cover a distance of 100 kilometers in 2 hours. So speed will be 50 kilometers per hour. So either you cover this 100 kilometer in 2 hours by bike, by scooty, by a car or any other public transport. Speed will be a deterministic variable of time and distance. So it will not change with the due course of time. So therefore time and distance will remain same whatever mode of transportation you will be using. But on the other hand, if we have another kind of variable where we are not sure about the outcomes, where we do not know or do not determine the outcome precisely, those variables we call the random variables. Talking in simpler words, the deterministic variables are associated to the money market, and the random variables are associated with the stock market. So those variables we call the random variables or the stochastic variables or the variables of uncertainty. In point of view of investment, we have been talking about finance. So finance, we have a lot of uncertainty. So tomorrow or even after 1 hour, what will be the price of the share or the BSE index, or what will be the Sensex or Nifty? We don't know. So how will the market will going to react? We don't know. How the Ministry of Finance of the government will going to react? We don't know. So we try to predict by using the mathematical models, and that is what financial engineering course talks about. And when you are predicting, this means that you are dealing with the variables which you are not sure about, which you are not able to determine the value, and hence it is like a uncertainty which you are dealing with. So there are two basic things which we are talking about in the entire course. One is the deterministic variable which has low variance. As I said, the variance is low, but saying sigma equals to 0 will be partially true. Sigma is very low. It's almost equal to 0. There is a risk factor associated with the risk-free asset, but that risk is very negligible. That means no variability, or you can easily understand the behavior of variable next day. For example, the FDs, the fixed deposits, the saving bank account, or any government scheme in which you are investing, which is offering a certain amount of interest on your investment. So these are the deterministic variables. These are the deterministic investment techniques, which in this there will be a deterministic amount, a deterministic rate of interest, and surely a deterministic return on investment, which you will be getting after the expiry of the deal. The examples of the risk-free asset could be the bonds, the government bonds, fixed deposits. And to make it more clear, we take a scenario like, for an example, you are going to buy a fixed deposit and you went to bank and asked them that I want to own a fixed deposit, and you will be depositing, let's say, 100 rupees per month for 3 years. So 100 rupees per month for 3 years. Then the bank will sign an agreement with you that they will be paying you an 8% rate of interest, and now this 8% rate of interest is fixed. So in fixed deposit, it's a deterministic quantity which you can determine beforehand, as this 8% will remain 8% today, tomorrow, and even after 1 year or after 2 years or at the expiry of the deal also. So this kind of risk-free assets, there is no risk, no variance, and no variability associated to that. You can predetermine the amount which you can quantify on t equals to 0, that is on the day of signing the deal with the bank or with the government. Also, this is risk-free in terms of financial problems. Although there are some catastrophic events, for example, any natural calamity, any kind of earthquake or tsunami, or the country is going bankrupt. So in those cases, the government could have some policies in which in these kind of investment, there could be slight loss, or there could be a slight amount which government can keep with itself in order to relieve about those mishappenings. So the precise term, as I told you earlier, is not no risk, but negligible risk, very low risk in terms of the risk-free assets. Now the second part of the course is the financial portfolio optimization. This is much more interesting than the risk-free assets, and the people nowadays are talking about it very much. It depends upon you that what you have to do, whether you want to see your friend making money or out of the stock market, or whether you also want to become rich like him. Now the risk-free assets give you a deterministic return. We have talked about three friends A, B and C in the previous video, and how the C is making a very hefty amount of money as compared to A and B. So in this part, we will be talking about how one should be designing its portfolio in order to minimize the risk associated with the market, also to get good returns. How do you choose the asset such that some of them give you good return, but at the same time they are more risky, and there are few assets which are giving you less return, but at the same time they are less risky also. So you are not going to lose your entire money. It is a kind of matching with the market scenario. It will be slightly mathematical to get a taste of financial engineering course. What we are talking about in the second half or in the first half of this course, that these models are not intuitive. They have the mathematical importance and mathematical ideas which are being determined by a very strong research, having a mathematical foundation. It is not always about having your portfolio in which you only have risky assets. We would also be seeing in the due course of time that in your portfolio there will be a combination of risk-free assets and risky assets also. So portfolio optimization talks about not only the risky asset in your basket, but with risky asset you also have a risk-free asset, so that your portfolio will have some taste of deterministic model, and some taste of random variables as well. And this is being done in order to make sigma low as possible and making mu more, or I would say consistent. We will be talking about the mean variance theory, the CAPM model, which is capital asset pricing model, in which we talk about that how a risky asset can be clubbed with a risk-free asset in order to maximize your return and minimize your risk. And there will be another model known as security market line, which will tell you that how your commodity or your asset will behave with respect to the market. For example, if your market is increasing, then what about your security, your asset? It is increasing with respect to the market, or it is behaving opposite to that of the market, or it is neutral. Now moving forward, in third part of the course, we will be talking about the derivatives security. In this, if I say in simpler word, it's not only what is available in the market. It not always that what thing, anything which is available in your market you can afford at the time of the deal. So for example, you are going to buy a pen in the market, not necessarily you have money to buy the pen. The pen cost, let's say, 15 rupees. Now, when you are going to market, you feel that you only have 5 rupees with you. Now, suppose you realize that you forgot your wallet at the home and you have only 5 rupees in your pocket. Now, at that particular moment, what will you do? You always have a fear of losing the pen to any other customer. One thing is that you go back to your home, take the required amount of money from your wallet, and came back to the shopkeeper and buy the pen. The second is you gave him 5 rupees, whatever amount, or 5 rupees or 6 rupees, whatever amount you have in your pocket. So you can pay some amount to the vendor and say that, okay, I have been giving you this much amount right now and taking the right to buy the product, or kind of words of the shopkeeper that he will not sell the pen to any other customer. So there will be a future contract associated between the vendor and customer, in which customer, after giving 5 rupees, buys the right from the shopkeeper to buy that particular commodity after the expiry of the deal. For example, at t equals to 0, he pays this much amount not to buy the commodity but to buy the right from the shopkeeper that he will be purchasing the pen after some particular time, and the shopkeeper is not liable to sell the pen to any other customer. So there will be a future contract between both of them, in which the person pays full money to him at a later stage, and he will be able to take the pen. Until that time, the shopkeeper is not entitled to sell the pen to any other customer. So we will be talking about this particular phenomena in the derivative securities. So in this, you are paying some money not to buy something but to buy some commitment. You are paying the money at the initial stage of the deal for some commitment, and the commitment in this example is of shopkeepers, that is of not selling the pen to anyone else. So that is what is known as derivatives. In the fourth part of the course, we will be talking about the pricing of the assets. See, one is discrete pricing and the second is the continuous pricing. There are two mathematical theories, and these theories is slightly, it will be different to the earlier one. So this will be the last part of the course of the financial engineering. So with this, these are the two references which we will follow for this particular course: Mathematics for Finance, an introduction to the financial engineering from Kapensky, and future options and other derivatives for the fourth part of the course, like Black-Scholes model, exotic options, and CRR and interest rate model also. The author of these two books are Basu and Hull. The link of these two books are available in the description. You can always buy it from the online market. It is available easily on Amazon. So with this, thank you for the attention, and please like the video, subscribe the channel, and hit the bell icon to get more updates. Thank you.